This week, we explore the nooks and crannies of ArtCorp. And who else can unlock the terrifying mystery of Carl Jones but Carl Jones? And what deep horror lies at the dark heart of the Vega System? Only Adam Wieser knows for sure. All this and more in this week's Around the Verse.
I didn't know you could get to the roof.
I don't think you're supposed to, but maybe someday.
I'm gonna try that. Hello, everyone. It's time for another episode of Around the Verse, your Star Citizen news show. I'm Sandy Gardner, the VP of Marketing.
I'm Ben Lesnick, Director of Community Engagement, which makes me sound more like a camp counselor than I actually am.
Without access to the marshmallows.
No, they don't let me.
Ben, what can we do in Star Citizen today?
Well, in addition to the ArtCorp segment we saw before we started, we've got the Crusader Mini Persistent Universe up and running, and there are over 30 flyable ships right now. You can dogfight, explore, fly missions, even land and engage in FPS gameplay on multiple space stations. And then there's Arena Commander, our single-seater dogfighting test bed that has dogfighting, capture the core, racing, all sorts of game modes that will sort of train you up for the Star Citizen experience. That's Star Citizen today.
So basically there's a lot going on today.
There is a lot going on.
And what is the team working on today?
Well, the team is currently making commits to Star Citizen Alpha 2.3, which will be our next major release. Essentially, that means checking in all the work they've been doing the past month, or in some cases months, for consideration for the new patch. Then it goes to our team of in-house testers who will say, okay, this works, maybe this isn't ready for prime time yet. And from there, we'll kind of determine the change list for 2.3 and then get it out to the PTU.
Yay! For the next several days, you can access every single one of Star Citizen's spacecraft. That's including all our current backers as well as new people.
Yes, every flyable ship is currently available in the free fly, which means that new backers can experience Star Citizen for the first time if they like, or existing backers can try ships they may not own or have earned yet. This is great for the team because it gives us ship balancing information, it gives us load testing that we wouldn't otherwise get, and it introduces new people to Star Citizen. So these events are great for us.
And that universe keeps expanding. We made 2 smaller patches to Star Citizen Alpha 2.2 last week, 2.2.1 and 2.2.2. Both were aimed at fixing some of the bugs that we were seeing with the live release, including some serious issues on the Origin 300i series spacecraft.
As a result, we've extended the 300i Aurora upgrade promotion a couple days. It'll run through Monday.
Since the South by Southwest Free Fly wraps up this weekend, we are offering a small little sale with some of the limited ships that you may or may not have had a chance to get hold of. So here's your chance. If you're after an M50 or a 350R, go get it.
We're also going to be kicking off our first concept sale of 2016 on Friday. We're not going to give away too many details here yet, but Foundry 42 has a cool new addition to the Vandal fleet.
There's a brand new note from the chairman, which includes David Ladyman and Ryan Archer, who have made their new board game, Star Traders, available on Kickstarter.
Their project looks great. I had a chance to play Star Traders last time I was in Austin. It was a lot of fun. And in fact, the new version actually has a cameo from Sandy.
Yay.
Check it out.
Star Traders is a classic science fiction board game. 2 to 6 players pilot their starships as they compete to deliver cargoes across the galaxy for great wealth and prestige.
Tickets go on sale tomorrow for CitizenCon 2016. CitizenCon 2016 will be held in Los Angeles, California at the Avalon Hollywood, so go get your ticket.
And finally, check out the comlink tomorrow to meet the next member of Squadron 42's star-studded cast. Won't say too much about it now, but it's going to be a real three-ring circus.
Oh boy. And now let's kick it over to our studios for the latest on what's in development.
Hey everyone, welcome to Cloud Imperium Games Los Angeles, here with our weekly update. I'm Darian Vorlick, production coordinator here in Los Angeles, and today we've got
Shane Hessler, associate character artist.
So this week's update, we've got a couple juicy nuggets. One, with patch 2.2, you saw that the Xi'an Scout was hangar ready. So the tech design team, specifically the lead tech designer, Kirk Tomei, he's working on getting the Xi'an Scout flight ready. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. On the tech content side, we've got Sean, Tracy, Forrest, Stefan, Mark McCall, Gage. Basically, it's all hands on deck to making sure that they can get the actual character shopping into the game soon. This is shopping referring to being able to buy clothing, be able to see that on your character, and kind of basically be able to customize your character with different attire. So on the ship side, what do we got?
We got a UE Navy character. Currently working on a jumpsuit that we're doing different variations on for Star Citizen.
Sorry, I didn't mean ships, I meant art side. So kind of fun to put a ship in a jumpsuit.
We'll work on that.
So that's all we got from Los Angeles. Once again, I'm Darian Vorlick.
Shane Hessler.
Thanks a bunch, guys.
Thanks.
Hey guys, Jake Ross here, associate producer of the Persistent Universe, and here with me this week I have
Tyler Whitkin, senior QA.
Thanks for filling in for me last week, Tyler.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it was fun.
Just got back from a week-long vacation. Happy to be back. Y'all put out two patches last week, didn't you? 2.2.1 and 2.2.2?
Yeah, 2.2.1 on Wednesday and 2.2.2 on Friday.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it went really well. There's still some issues that we're wanting to get ironed out, but yeah.
What were the big heavy hitters that you guys tackled last week?
We ran into some issues with the 300 series, missing HUD and a few other ones. We got those fixed. The biggest ones where we're seeing around a 10-second delay with trying to use objects, use prompts like the ship terminal or to get into your ship.
Right.
And then also some character desync. And so we're still doing actually a lot of testing on that. And it's gotten a lot better. We've gathered a ton of data from the short PTUs that we had. And yeah.
Yeah, good. And we really thank you guys who are on the PTU and helping us identify some of those issues and giving us all this awesome data that we're using to give to our server network guys to help track some of that stuff down. So yeah, it's cool. I wanted to get a more general update from you on the QA team. I know we got a couple new members recently, and
yes, we had Katarzyna and Jeff Daly. Many of you have probably seen Katarzyna from the last Witch Glitch episode that we did. Jeff Daly hasn't been out in the open much, but he's been killing it. He came to us. He was a lead at his last job, so he had tons of experience, and they've both been doing just a fantastic job and really helping us just continue testing in depth and get ready for 2.3.
Yeah, it's awesome. Team's growing a little bit, little by little, and we got I think got a couple of more people joining the team here pretty soon, and just in general. So yeah, it's really good to hear. Anything else from the QA side you want to give an update on?
Not really an update other than just everybody out there has been killing it with all your reports. The issue council has been packed. We've gotten so much information. Some people put together a Discord channel that was focused for different aspects of the game for testing feedback, and it's all been super helpful. And from a QA perspective, we're super appreciative, and just keep it up, guys, because y'all are helping us do so much.
You guys are like an extension of our own internal QA team, so it's really awesome.
Totally.
I don't think there's another project out there that's quite like the way we've got it set up, which is kind of cool. So, last thing I'll give an update on, just from on the PU side, is pricing. I've talked a little bit about pricing in the past, but one of our designers here, Pete McKay, is working on pricing formulas for clothing, and he's kind of extended his reach now beyond just clothing for Cassava Outlet to Dumpers Depot for things like components, ship components, and ship weapons. And he's also looking at Astro Armada actually pricing the ships themselves, so that you can pretty soon you'll be able to buy ships and stuff just through the game instead of just on the platform. So that'll be a really cool thing to see when we get persistence online and shopping. So we're excited to see that. So yeah, that's all I got for you this week, guys. Anything else from you?
No, that's all I got.
All right, thanks, guys. See you around.
Bye.
Hi everyone, Tom here in the UK. I'm back from Frankfurt, having spent a few days last week working on the schedules with Alex Marshall, the other senior producer over there on their side. It was great to spend some more time with a lot of the team who I work with kind of closely online with, and good to actually meet a few of their guys in person. Yeah, back to normality over here, and we've also got Chris Roberts joining us for a couple of weeks in the UK. He's mainly spending a lot of time syncing with the design team, going over the level reviews for Squadron 42. So he's just giving them some direction and getting some updates as to where the levels are at the moment with progress. And on the feature side of things, taking a look at some stuff in progress too. We've got scanning and radar, as I mentioned previously. That's now going into this sort of first pass of implementation of this new tier set. Some extra features coming your way soon for both ships and players. And also on the ship side of things, we're also looking to make landing automatic, a bit more easy and accessible to those that want it that way. Then we'll be moving on to actually landing in capital ships. There's still lots of tech work going on with getting the capital ships flying and how they all function and the systems underlying them. On the FPS side of things, we've got Volta Mantle. That FPS traversal functionality is in progress too. That shouldn't take us too long. And we've also got the Vandal character in progress, so we'll be excited to get him all modelled up, rigged and in-game to start working on FPS combat behaviours with them too, and sort of see some real scary alien action. That's about it for this week. That's my time up, and I'll see you all in the verse. Bye for now.
Hey everyone, Brian Chambers from Frankfurt. This week I have absolutely nothing new to share with anyone. Tech team still working on procedural tech. Can't get into the details, but progress is moving along. Things are looking really, really good there. Still doing tools work to help support cinematics, but we've already talked about that in the past. Bug fixes, optimization, pushing on physics across the board. Squadron 42 cinematics are progressing, but if I gave you any update, that would give stuff away, and I can't do that. Sorry. Design, still pushing on designs, going through some new ideas, throwing those around to the rest of the design team to get things finalized. A lot of documentation going on right now, but nothing definitive that I could really kind of push and share with you guys. VFX, they're still pushing VFX. Just thinking through all the team. The weapons artists still pushing weapons, stuff that you've already heard about, but they're making progress there. AI, we've talked a lot about AI. Progress is going good there. Build engineering, still improving the system and pushing out builds as we can. We've grown by a few people, so I guess that is something new. Within the next couple of weeks here, we have another 4 people starting, which gets us up to 39 people. Yeah. Besides that, it's pretty much the same. So, team's working hard. We're pushing on all fronts. Progress is good. Sometimes no news is good news. Hopefully next week I'll be able to pull somebody in. I was going to pull somebody in this week, but everyone's been busy. So, again, thanks for backing. Thanks for all the support. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, everyone. You guys are doing an amazing job.
We break net live now to go to Jared Huckabee, who is sitting with Cloud Imperium's Carl Jones.
Is that Carl with a K or Carl with a C?
That is Carl with a C. Carl with a K is a designer, and Carl with a C is in business development.
So which one is this?
Let's find out.
Thanks, guys. On this week's ATV interview, we're sitting down with Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Business Development for Cloud Imperium Games, Mr. Carl Jones. Carl, how you doing, man?
Very good, thank you.
Good. You're coming to us from the UK, right?
That's right, yeah, here visiting the studio.
Okay. Now, Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Business Development. All right, start us off, man. What's the Chief Operating Officer do?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. I mean, I have two titles because I kind of had two jobs. So I started out here as VP of Business Development.
Okay.
That is me working with our partner companies like AMD, looking at ways to work with other companies who want to make products that tie in with Star Citizen and have deals with us to make sure that when we make our game, they support their products and vice versa. Then recently, I took on the role as well of Chief Operating Officer, which it varies very much from company to company, but put simply, the Chief Operating Officer's job is to do things the CEO doesn't want to do. So I take on a lot of the kind of boring stuff that probably isn't that interesting to our community, but the focus really is on making sure our operations work in such a way that our game developers spend as much of their time as possible developing the game, and not worrying about the other kind of things that you get when your company gets quite big. And that applies all the way up to Chris, because obviously we all want Chris to spend as much of his time as possible making this game. But when you are a company as big as ours, there are a lot of other distractions that come about, operational things, so I'm here to kind of help smooth those problems over.
And those are positions that are necessary in any company, not just video game development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, most companies will have someone looking at partnerships and deals with other companies, and someone trying to make the company operations run as smoothly as possible.
Gotcha. Now you mentioned partnership deals. You mentioned AMD. You were also involved in the SciTech deal that we've had going on. In fact, folks may have seen you the first time at our CitizenCon event, where you debuted the SciTech. What was it? A mock-up?
Yeah. So we had at CitizenCon we had a physical mock-up, just a model of what the product would look like. That was the first thing I really did with in my role here. We knew the audience, our fans wanted a controller, a special controller, and with SciTech and Mad Catz, we found a company that was very happy to work with us on finding the best design and really change their product so that it worked perfectly with the game. And that's really what we got excited by with SciTech, was this willingness they had to create a bespoke controller for us. So we've seen the mock-up, and the next phase is to get an actual working prototype. We're looking forward to getting that in the next month or two, and as soon as we do, I hope we'll give some more feedback on how it feels, how it's working, and then we will move forwards from that stage to getting them into production and eventually getting them into the hands of our fans.
Gotcha. That's no small thing, a company wanting to make a bespoke product with us. And there are lots of great HOTAS manufacturers, lots of great companies that build all kinds of things. But it's not just who we want, it's they have to want to work with us, we want to work with them. It's a partnership.
That's right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've worked in games for 20 years. I've been doing business development for more than 10. And I have never worked on a product that has more appeal than Star Citizen. So in our case, actually, we are inundated with companies who want to make something with Star Citizen on it. We knock a lot of those back. It's not just about having a logo on the product. It's about whether or not we think it adds something to the game, whether or not it's something that our fans want. And we always, will look to our fans to give us feedback and say, hey, this would be a cool thing. This would help us. This would make our game better. So let's do that partnership.
Inundated with deals, huh? Any you want to share with us right now?
No.
I tried. All right. So you said you've been doing this for 10 years. Where did you come from to us before this?
So before this, I was at Crytek. So I was business development, first of all, on CryEngine. I was running the CryEngine team, and then I did all the business development at Crytek before I joined here. Before that, I was working mostly in production, studio management at different game developers. So I've been a game developer for more than 20 years.
And what games would people have played that you might have worked on?
I've worked on some of the Sonic games. I've worked on the Total War series. Obviously at Crytek, working on Crysis games. I had my own studio at one point, and we made a stealth adventure game called Prisoner of War, which probably no one has heard of, but I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, the big ones obviously is Crisis and Total War.
Gotcha. And you worked on some sims too, you said.
Yeah, right back at the beginning of my career, I worked at the Ministry of Defence in the UK on real world simulations. Working on defence simulations and war games and things like that. But it wasn't a lot of fun, a bit too real. So I moved out of that, and actually the first game I worked on was a helicopter flight simulator called Team Apache, which coincidentally was directly in competition with Origin and Longbow.
Gotcha. Well, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't win that fight. That's for sure. But it was cool. I mean, there was room in the market then for more simulations, whether it was flight simulations or space simulations. Obviously, then for a while, those games disappeared. They went away. The powers that be decided that PC and simulation wasn't an interesting market. And then I think one of the most exciting things about Star Citizen is how the industry has been changed by what's happened here. PC gaming is in resurgence, space simulation is in resurgence, new ways of making games and talking to your community. That's all changed because of what Chris did here.
You mentioned space games are making a resurgence. Did you play Wing Commander when it first came out?
I have to admit that as a Brit of the 80s, a child of the 80s, or a teenager of the 80s, I played Elite. Yeah. Just don't tell Chris.
I might have known that was the answer ahead of time. Well, Carl, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. You seem like you're a great addition to the team here. You've been here. How long have you been here now?
Just over a year.
All right.
Yeah.
You came on right around the same time I did. I've been here just over a year now. So yeah, cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show, for taking the time to sit down and chat. This is Carl Jones, Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Business Development for Cloud Imperium Games. I got it.
Got it right that time.
I didn't think I could do it. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Adam Wieser and I am going to be your host this week on the Loremakers Guide to the Galaxy. Now this program, it's a new one, and what we're going to do is that every once in a while, one of the members of the lore team is going to come in here and basically give you a personal tour of a system through this awesome star map that's been put together for the game. So this week, as you can see, I'm wearing an Operation Pitchfork t-shirt because it felt appropriate considering the system we will be covering. So once again, we're going to start off right here on Earth. And if we back out of the Sol system and do the backspace here, we can bring up the search bar. and we're going to type in this episode system, which is Vega. So here we go. We are going to head off to the Vega system, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with due to the recent Battle of Vega, Admiral Bishop's speech in front of the Senate. All that has happened because of what has gone on here recently. Now, the Vega system has been one of promise and problems for the UEE throughout the history. As you see, it is here. It's in kind of what we like to call the western front of the Empire. And the promise of this system is right in the center. It is this G-type main sequence star. Now, what's special about this star is that it is brighter than 90% of the other stars in the entire galaxy. What's also very special about it is that it's very similar to our sun, to the star that's at the heart of the Sol system. So when humanity found this star out there amidst everything, they got very excited by the prospects. One of the other very important things that made this so promising was that the system also has 2 habitable planets within the green band. So this star, along with these 2 planets, made it a very intriguing system for humanity. The problem with the Vega system has always been that it has one jump that goes directly into Vanduul space. As you can see here, it connects to the Virgil system. Now, for the first few hundred years of Vega's existence, the Virgil system was actually a human-controlled system. That all changed in 2737 with the fall of Virgil. When that happened, Vega literally became the front line of the conflict between humanity and the Vanduul. So for over 200 years, the people of Vega lived in constant fear that at any moment, Vanduul could come through this jump here from Virgil and attack the system. Prior to the fall of Virgil, Vega was a pretty prosperous system. There were a lot of people there was a lot of excitement going on, but the second that the Vanduul were on the doorstep, people fled from the system very fast. They say that at a certain point, the best business in Vega was actually getting people out of Vega. So basically for 200 years, this system lived in constant fear until maybe 10 to 20 years ago when people started to think, hey, you know what? Aramis is a beautiful place. It's a naturally just stunning planet, and the real estate's cheap there. People started to move back in. The vast and verdant fields produced a lot of crops, which led to a thriving culinary scene on the planet. They even were in the midst of applying for recognition from the UEE Senate when, unfortunately, the Vanduul finally attacked. This happened on October 5th, 2945, the Vanduul came through. It's now known as the Battle of Vega II, and basically attacked Aramis. You see we've got the nice little icon here indicating that attack. So on this day, citizens and civilians of this planet would have walked out into the streets of the capital, New Corvo, looked up into the sky, and they would have seen ships falling and falling from the sky and crashing into the city on fire. They would have seen Vanduul raiders kind of running through the streets. And when they looked up, besides this massive space battle, they would have seen a Vanduul kingship sitting in the system, which is the first time in over about 70 years that a Vanduul kingship had ever been in UEE space. The last time prior to Vega was in 2871 at the fall of Caliban. So besides seeing that Vanduul kingship up in space, they also got to see these beautiful planetary rings that surround Aramis. So Aramis is going to be a very, very beautiful planet from the ground. You've got these planetary rings, and you've got 2 shepherd moons that are also going to be sitting up in the sky. Now, just an interesting science fact, the planetary rings are there basically because of something called the Roche limit or the Roche radius. And the simplified version of this is that the Roche radius is where the gravity of the planet of Aramis overpowers all other gravity. So if, for example, you are a natural satellite, a chunk of a moon, a piece of space debris on the outside of the Roche radius, then you have your own gravity. You'll draw other things to you, and that's how moons kind of coalesce. But if you're a natural satellite that is caught inside the Roche radius, let's say maybe you were a piece of moon that hit the planet and broke up in atmosphere, or maybe these are parts of the early protoplanetary disk that created the system that never got pulled into the planet. Under the right conditions, they can get caught up here on the very edge of the system and give these very beautiful, picturesque planetary rings. Now, Aramis isn't only beautiful from the sky, it's also very beautiful on the ground. This is a naturally habitable planet, so it has its own flora and its own fauna. It did need a little bit of terraforming to be able to get humanity to be habitable there, but luckily that terraforming wasn't strong enough to actually eradicate a lot of the natural foliage you'll find there. So it's also going to be a very beautiful planet from the ground. With that in consideration, you can see why over the past few years the people of Aramis have strove to receive recognition from the UEE Senate to actually have a voting right there. Everyone seemed to think that they were on the fast track for this to happen, and when the attack of Vega happened, of Vega 2, their basically application was rubber stamped. So it wasn't long before Edward Emile became the very first UE senator from the planet of Aramis, and he decided to use his introductory speech in front of the Senate for a little bit of political theater. Instead of talking about the planet, he decided to close debate and call for a vote on the UEE going to war against the Van Duel. So that's a fun little fact. The first act by a senator from Aramis was to vote for war against the Van Duel. Another fun little thing about this planet here, Aramis, is that it is home to the Cargo Olympics. So for all you haulers and traders out there that are good at moving cargo around, this is where the annual Cargo Olympic event would occur. Unfortunately, the recent attacks have put this year's event in question, but I believe I have it under good authority that there might be some more answers as to what's happening to that very soon. So again, that is Aramis, which is Vega 2. It's about Earth size right here. Let's step back out. Let's go up to Vega 1, which is on the inner part of the system. Now, this is a dwarf planet. There's not too much exciting about it. It's about the size of Pluto. The UE like to call this a one probe planet. They sent one unmanned probe down to this thing, took it out, checked, did some scans, realized there was nothing there to mine, there was nothing there really worth our time, so it's kind of been forgotten and it just sits here in the inner part of the system. So as we back out, let's go to Vega 3, which is the other really, really interesting planet in the system. And this planet is called Selene. As you see, this is a little bit further out from the sun, but it's still in the green band. It's a little bit larger than Earth, and it is not naturally habitable, which means that humans had to terraform this planet to be able to live on it. Now, this place has been the true power center of the Vega system for the past few centuries. The military had a lot of establishments, or they first claimed Aramis and kind of moved in there first. So a lot of the private industry and private businesses came in and took over this planet of Selene. The biggest city on Selene is a city called Titus, and it has a pretty massive population for what is considered a frontier system, a frontier planet. Titus was thriving prior to the Van Duel threat appearing on Vega's doorstep. So when you see the city from the air, it's a massive expanse of buildings. But once you get down to ground level, what you'll realize is that a lot of the buildings on the outer edge of the city are abandoned or partially constructed, or maybe stopped mid-construction due to the Van Duel threat. Vega's population Selene's population of Titus is still high, but it's definitely not as high as it used to be. An interesting point about Selene is that the Governor's Council of the planet grew concerned after the fall of Virgil in 2737. They were worried that there were people on this planet who didn't want to leave, that couldn't afford to leave. They worried what would happen if the Van Duel ever attacked. So their solution was to create a gun company called Caustic Arms. Now, this was a private-public partnership between the Governor's Council of Selene and private interest to make affordable and effective energy weapons to sell to the people of this planet in case of a Vandal incursion. Now, this plan worked well at arming the people of Titus and the people of Selene, but it also obviously led to a spike in crime. Even worse, in 2753, an executive for Caustic Arms was caught triggering Vandal sensor alarms deep out in the system as a way to drive sales for the guns. When the Governor's Council of Selene realized this was going on, they understood they needed to get out of the gun business and ended up selling their stake in the company to completely private interests. So the private interests realized they had very effective and very cheap guns on their hands that would be liked all around the empire. So what they ended up doing is they took Caustic Arms, the maker of the Devastator shotgun and the Firestorm cannon, they took them and they basically exported them all around the universe, which is why you're going to be seeing a lot of those guns in the game that all started from here in Selene. The other interesting thing about this planet is that it's home to a group of people called the Descendants of Orion, and they are, as you would expect, and as my Operation Pitchfork t-shirt hints at, they are people who originally lived in the Orion system, or descendants of people who originally lived in the Orion system who want to get the system back. And they do this by basing raids in the Vandal systems from this planet. So let's say you're a Vandal swarm fanatic. Let's say you have interest in testing your metal against in Vandal territory. You can come find the Descendants of Orion on Selene. They're not going to pay much. It's going to be very dangerous, but it's definitely going to be a good way for you to get some dogfighting action. So as we back away from Selene, we go further out into the system. And what we have here is the Vega Belt Alpha. Now this, for an asteroid belt, is probably a little bit more dense than most, but there's still not enough planetary mass here, or not enough mass to have formed a planet. Technically, this asteroid belt is owned by the UEE, but it's been picked pretty clean over the years, so there's not really patrols of it. A lot of beginning miners actually make their way out to this asteroid belt as a way to practice, maybe find a few pockets that have been overlooked. But yeah, so it's a good place to maybe do some practice runs. There's not going to be a lot of wealth here if you're willing to go check it out. And finally, out on the very edge of the system, we have Vega 4. Now, Vega 4 is a super Jupiter, which is the least common class of planets in our entire galaxy. So what makes a super Jupiter special? Well, it's about the same size as our Jupiter. It's just more massive. It just means it's more dense. So yeah, it's a big, beautiful planet that's going to be dotted with fuel refinery stations kind of in the outer reaches that you'll be able to swing by and maybe get some fuel for your ship. So again, this has been the tour of the Vega System, 4-planet system, 1 asteroid belt with 4 jump points coming into it, the dangerous jump point from Virgil, 2 that go to unclaimed systems of Null and Oberon, and it has 1 connection to UE space right here in Bremen. Again, my name's Adam Wieser, a member of the lore team, and this was your Loremaker's Guide to the Vega System.
He did this whole thing without reading anything. There's no notes on the screen. I'm so proud of him. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, no problem.
Of course, the Vega System takes its name from Wing Commander's Vega sector, which was the setting of the original Wing Commander and a major flashpoint in the war with the Kilrathi.
Oh, that's it? I thought there was more. I was waiting. I thought it was going to be a half-hour thing on Wing Commander. And now for this week's MVP. Envelope, please.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. This week's MVP goes to Purgatorial Flame. Yay! Congratulations, Purgatorial Flame, who has created his own Star Citizen role-playing sourcebook, if I remember correctly.
That is right. So if you're into tabletop gaming, he's got a full-color PDF you can download and Star Citizen it up.
Congratulations, Purgatorial Flame. You are this week's MVP. Moving on, here is this week's art sneak peek.
Be sure to tune into Reverse the Verse tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on Twitch, where we'll be talking about that sneak peek and all sorts of other aspects of Star Citizen's development.
Thank you, as always, for all of our subscribers for making the show possible. We'd also like to say a special thank you to all of our volunteer moderators this week.
Our moderators do an incredible job keeping the forums a place where you can debate Star Citizen, discuss, get information, and share your creativity. And they're all volunteers. It's an absolutely thankless job, with the exception of this specific thanks. We really appreciate you guys.
We do. We will see you next week on Around the Verse.
Around the Verse.
Did you know that many of Star Citizen's developers are on social media? If you would like to follow Star Citizen on Facebook, you can find us here.
Or on Twitter, here.
And even Instagram here.
And for a full list of developers' personal accounts they're willing to share with the community, check out this link. You can find out what I bought at Amazon this week.
Star Wars stuff.
It was probably Star Wars stuff.